take a look at this, and this is the highest that Romero has weighed as a professional. He's had a couple of fights north of 135, but never at this weight. And of course, we've talked about the age factor as well, but it's the reach of Barroso that I think could be significant here tonight if he can land power punches from the outside.
Rules for tonight's main event here in Nevada. Only the referee can stop the fight. Once again, Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to the Chelsea here inside the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas as Premier Boxing Champions presents the featured bout of the evening, brought to you by TGB Promotions, Mayweather Promotions, and Showtime. Sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook, this bout is sanctioned by the WBA, President Gilberto Jesus Mendoza, supervisor is Robert Mack, along with the Nevada State Athletic Commission. The chairman is Anthony Marnell III, with the executive director Jeff Mullen. Our three judges scoring this bout from ringside: from Nevada, Tim Cheatham; from Oklahoma, David Sutherland; and from New Jersey, Steve Weisfeld. Introducing our referee in charge, he'll be giving instructions after the introductions, Tony Weeks. All right, fans, here we go with the main event of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing for the vacant WBA Super Lightweight Championship of the World. And now, ladies and gentlemen in attendance and boxing fans joining us around the world, live from the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas, it's showtime! Introducing to you first, on my left, fighting out of the red corner, entering the ring wearing yellow trunks with red and blue trim, fighting out of Miami, Florida, by way of El Tigrito, Venezuela. He weighed in at 139.5 pounds. His record stands at 24 wins, 3 losses and 2 draws, with 22 big wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the former world title challenger, currently ranked the WBA #1 super lightweight contender, introducing Ismael Barroso. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing orange trunks with white trim, fighting out of his home and representing Las Vegas, Nevada. He weighed in the same as his opponent, 139.5 pounds. His hard-hitting record stands at 14 wins, 1 loss, with 12 big wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the former interim lightweight world title holder. Please welcome the hard-hitting and colorful WBA #5 world-ranked super lightweight contender, introducing Rolando Romero. Once again, our referee in charge, Tony Weeks, now to give instructions.
Caballeros, ustedes reciben sus instrucciones. Aquí está bien, aquí no. Aquí está bien, aquí no. De la cintura para la liga. Y aquí no una play limpia. Escúchame, cuídate. Listos, vámonos.
Tony Weeks, 29 years a professional boxing referee, working his 860th professional fight. Rolly Romero, 5 of his 12 knockouts have come in the opening 3 minutes. He promises to get off to an explosive start. Ismael Barroso, hey, he's won 4 in a row, with 3 of those wins coming by way of KO again. This one not expected to go the distance as we begin round #1. The southpaw, Barroso, he was a classic example of an all-or-nothing fighter. He scores a KO or gets KO trying, has been stopped twice. First when he challenged Anthony Crolla for a 135-pound strap in 2016, and then by Batir Akhmedov in 2018. Both of those knockouts were courtesy of body shots. Akhmedov losing earlier tonight to Kenneth Sims Jr.
And this fight, in some ways, will come down to a couple of singular things, but also normally a much bigger volume puncher than Romero, so he can win rounds, but he leaves himself open for right hands. Can Romero hurt him, or can Barroso hurt him with the power that he's had at 140?
And Rolly Romero talked about being patient in this fight. He said when he fought Tank Davis, he just got overexcited and made a mistake that he paid dearly. In this fight, he's going to be cautious, going to be picking his shots, and something smart you want to do, especially a heavy puncher like Barroso.
Of course, Romero began his athletic pursuits in judo. He's a judoka, started at 8. Trained in judo for over 8 years, and in some of his fights he does resort to some judo-esque takedowns in the boxing ring we've seen. He's a very unorthodox, awkward fighter, but is known for that powerful right hand, but also has a nasty left hook, especially the lead one. We saw him drop Avery Sparrow with that fight in the opening minute of their bout with that left hook.
You know, the last time we were able to see good video of Barroso was against Yves Ulysses, a very good fighter. That was back in 2019. He beat him over 12 rounds, and it was a very good performance. The question is, since that point, has there been any erosion with Barroso? We'll see.
His last fight came last August in Hollywood, Florida, won by 4th round knockout against Fernando David Salcido, and again, Romero awkward, and we've talked about it in watching tape, Abner, about Romero's flaws at times, fighting straight up, leaving his chin exposed, a little awkward with his footwork, throwing himself off balance, lunging forward at times.
Yeah, being with the wide stance that, you know, he overreaches sometimes.
And susceptible to the counter, Gervonta Davis.
Yes, and we're seeing something right now. Barroso applying the pressure, trying to make Romero uncomfortable, and at times it seemed like he was, but definitely Romero does not want to move straight back with his head up.
And now he's very much learned on the job. We'll get to that in the second round. Here's Romero, started his amateur career at 18, had a cup of coffee in the unpaid ranks, and now here tonight in his 16th professional fight, compared to Barroso, who is fighting for the 30th time as a pro.
And we'll take a look at what these men need to do, the keys to victory. Weather the storm. I thought Barroso would be coming out with much more aggression. He may still, but he's got to get past that. Try a body shot. Mauro referenced twice Barroso has been knocked out with body shots. Romero's not a body puncher that much. Should try it. The right hand. Barroso is available for that punch. Romero has a good one. For Barroso, when he squares up and lunges especially, he can be with those right hands. He does need to be aggressive in this fight and pump up the volume, but he can't be reckless. The straight left hand is a powerful weapon for him, and of course we know that's the punch that Davis used to knock Romero out.
Definitely did not pump up the volume in round one. Romero 1 of 26. Barroso 2 of 22. So much for those fistic fireworks that were promised.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that first round was a little cautious, though.
Definitely not.
That cautious?
No, I mean, you got two heavy hitters right here, and they don't want to make the first mistake. You know, Barroso tried to do, you know, which is right, the pressure for a little bit towards the end of the round. And Romero, he's just measuring. He's trying to figure out what type of style Barroso is bringing.
Oh, I forgot, though, a vacant title is also at stake, so the stakes are higher, and you want to make sure that you fight responsibly.
You know, 42% of what Barroso lands normally are body punches. He hasn't really yet been in a position to throw body punches, but we'll see how much he does with that.
I think, Abner, you noted my sarcasm. You were going to hand me a handkerchief to clean the sarcasm off my jaw.
There's a smirk on my face when you said
2 minutes left here in another cautious frame.
I just ignored it.
Well, just like Romero and Barroso are ignoring offense.
Yeah, so far anyway.
And you can almost sense it when two heavy punchers like this fight, you know, it's just a matter of time before someone walks into a big hand and, you know, gets himself in trouble.
Well, there's a nice judo sweep.
Now, that was a left hook from Romero. You mentioned that, Mauro. You know, we put the right hand in the keys, but Romero is a good left hook puncher.
Especially with the lead left as advertised. He really does have a nasty left hook.
Yeah, Romero needs to let his hands go a little bit more. I like it when he's I know a lot of people don't like the awkward style that he brings. It's, you know, it's weird, but it works for him, and he gets the opponent to be uncomfortable as well.
Well, you know, I asked the question. You know, we haven't really seen much of Barroso since that fight with Ulysses, where he's an active, volume punching guy. Now, some of this may be due to thinking about Romero's power, or the fact is, has he gone down a bit in the last couple of years that we have not had a chance to really view him?
Yeah, that is a good point out.
Because of
that fight, yeah, there was a lot more volume, a lot more pressure from Barroso's. But again, you got to give it to the fact that Romero is doing a good job of using the entire ring, jabbing, you know, and not letting Barroso get in as easy.
Stop. No, let him go. Suelto. Push it out there.
Well, the closest we had to sustained action was this. Barroso coming in, and you know, he goes out there with the jab, and this is where Romero, as you see with his left foot, trying to keep it outside the foot of Barroso, he clips him with the left hand, but rightfully not called a knockdown by Tony Weeks because their legs tangled up. And of course, lefties and righties, this will happen. And there you see him trying to get that left hand in, and their legs just got all tangled up. Now, you talk about a tough fight to score. I'll tell you what, not much happening here.
Exactly.
The bell and round number 3. So far in the fight, Romero 2 of 46, but also 5 of 44.
Now, Barroso's doing one thing that's dangerous. He's lunging with his left hand to the body. He's asking for a right hand from Romero. He's got to be very careful of that.
Yeah, he's not double jabbing him his way inside to be able to let go of that left. And yeah, he's putting himself in risk of a counterpunch from Romero.
For Romero, of course, he was getting ready to fight a lefty in Alberto Puello. So he got a lefty in Barroso. So that part, he didn't have to rearrange his thinking during training.
Yeah, that always helps, especially if you're already getting ready for you know, a fighter at that stance. And you know, for Romero's credit, he's fought his 4 fights southpaw, so there's nothing new for him.
Yeah, Romero fighting his 3rd consecutive left-handed opponent. Came off the loss to Gervonta Davis, but scored his biggest win against a southpaw against Anthony, can you dig it, Yiggit, back in 2021. He says he likes fighting lefties more than righties. They're really fun to knock out, is the quote.
You know, Barroso normally throws about 66 punches a round. He has thrown 54 over 2.5 rounds. So clearly, you know, the volume not there with him. But maybe he's thinking a power shot's going to change things. Although he could be winning 2 rounds. There's a good left by Barroso.
Barroso swinging and being neutralized by Romero.
Now, will Romero continue to hold on the inside, and will Tony Weeks allow it? We'll see.
I mean, not saying that that's not the right thing to do if you're putting that position. Romero doing the right thing, holding, turning him, but you can't overdo it also.
Many people believe that Barroso's power, and it has been significant in a lot of fights. So Romero may very well be.
Well, he said, he goes,
aware
this
of it.
guy can crack. Anytime you're in a fight with a puncher, you know it's going to be difficult. And there it is, difficult. The left hand dropping. Romero.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Come to me. Come to me. Come in. Good. Okay, here we go.
The left hand cost him the fight against Gervonta Davis. And here in the dying stages of round 3, Barroso with the left drops Romero for the second time in his career.
Now, if you're Barroso, and he only had a few moments that round, he didn't want to attack too much. He's a happy 40-year-old, isn't he, right now? Well, we said before the fight, the left hand of Barroso is a good weapon. He lunged before that with the left, didn't get countered, and then landed the second left.
Yes, we talked about the pullback from Romero. He pulls back straight with his head up, and that's what happened. 2-3, and the overhand left for Barroso is the one that did it. The bad habit that Rolly Romero has, pulling straight back.
Not so fun fighting lefties after all for Rolly Romero. Barroso looking to build on the momentum that he has following the knockdown in the final seconds of the third round. This is round 4, scheduled for 12 for a vacant 140-pound title. Romero went fishing for the right uppercut.
Now you can feel Romero standing his ground here. He's thinking to himself, I've got to make this fight or I'm going to continue to be in that issue.
I mean, he's the younger fighter. This is the pace that you want to fight if you're Barroso, because he's the older fighter. It's not too much going on. He's picking his shot. He's a heavy shot, heavy power puncher. So, you know, for him, he's comfortable. Romero has to pick it up.
And if you're Barroso, you don't still want to over-attack because you're concerned about Romero's power as well. And Barroso has scored knockdowns in 2 of the 3 fights he's lost. So he has done this before, not always been successful. That doesn't say it's not going to happen tonight.
Again lands the left hand. Romero, lead left hook.
Very little jabbing from Barroso. You know, he's not using that to set things up, but he was able to get the left hand in without the jab.
And I feel like that he's overthrowing that left.
Yes, I agree.
If you're smart, if you're Romero, you want to time that. There it is. Caught him walking in and he hurt him.
Yep, he did. Counter right hand.
Just over a minute left in the 4th. Romero opening up. Barroso coming forward. Hometown crowd chanting for Rolly Romero. Lead left hook, right hand by Romero. Barroso fighting out of the corner, 30 seconds left in the 4th.
That was a beautiful counter left hook from Romero, and he's trying to do it once again. He's waiting for Barroso to throw that left hand, take a step back and counter.
Left hand to the body by Barroso. We are through 4 at the Chelsea at the Cosmopolitan Hotel in Las Vegas. Explosive exchange right hand from Romero.
Very good, very good.
Breathe, breathe. Listen to me. You can't go back on him. You have to keep pressuring him, but don't lunge. Don't lunge. Don't lunge.
Oftentimes, righties and lefties, of course, you're going to see the clash of heads, and that one initiated by Barroso, though not necessarily on purpose. And here's on the inside, right hand that strays low by Romero as he's holding with his left hand.
Romero trained by Cromwell Bullet Gordon, but also trained by Osmiri Fernandez. He had a 16-week training camp at Moro's Boxing Gym in Miami, and just like that, my favorite gym of all time, Al. Fifth round begins as Barroso walking forward, putting the pressure on Romero, who's utilizing lateral movement.
And again, going back to Romero's corner and himself talking about being patient, you know, taking his time. Well, it's the fifth round. It is time to let them hands go if you're Romero, especially if you're down already on the scorecards with that knockdown.
And Barroso coming off his busiest round so far, where he threw 37 punches in round 4. By the way, Romero came in as a huge favorite, 8-1 the last time I checked.
That was interesting. I was actually a little surprised at that. Of course, he would have been a big underdog had Puello continued to engage in this fight, the former champion.
Who's now the champion in recess. And there's a nice exchange.
Yeah, obviously a lot of people going, you know, thinking that Barroso, because of his age, was not going to perform. But let's not forget that Romero is not the most, you know, experienced fighter either.
Yeah, we don't really know about Rolly Romero yet. As I pointed out when you did his walk-in, lost to Davis against Jackson Marinez. Many people thought he lost that decision. It's very close, and other than that, has not faced top competition. So we don't know about Rolly Romero yet.
And even as an amateur, you know, you only had 25 fights.
And here he is vying for a vacant 140-pound title in his first fight at 140 pounds.
It's boxing, I guess.
There's a nice left hand from Barroso, momentarily bothering Romero.
I think this fight is really coming down to whether Romero can counter him and hurt him. Yeah, can he counter Barroso and hurt him, or will Barroso get back to him with a power punch? And Abner made the good point that the pace this fight is being fought at does benefit Barroso a bit. When we last saw him 3 years ago, he was a volume puncher. At age 40, he appears not to be that anymore. So guess what? This pace, he's probably going to like.
Nice right hand by Rolly Romero, backs up Barroso. Leads with the left hook. Romero, training at Mayweather's boxing gym, caught the attention of Floyd Money Mayweather when he impressed in sparring, signed him to a promotional contract back in 2016. Now on his bicycle, retreating to close out round 5.
That's what we need. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right, now we got our rhythm. Now we got our rhythm. Let's build on that rhythm, okay? Now we got that rhythm, we got to build on it. Keep moving. If you're not punching, you step it. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, there were moments in the last round where Romero was trying to land those countering shots. There's the left hook, a pretty good one, a counter left hook as Barroso came in. And then later on in the round, again, reaching with the left hand, Barroso. And when he does that, this one didn't land perfectly, but it's a cuffing punch. You could tell Romero is just looking for the chance to counter him when he lunges with the left.
This is round 6.
That was a good right hand from Romero, timing Barroso's, beating him to the punch, really.
And a check left hook from Romero.
You know what Barroso is doing, though, what he did do in that last segment there is punch with conviction to the body. He's a good body puncher, but we haven't seen him punch with conviction to the body, though he was countered. Total power punches, which is everything other than a jab. Barroso with the edge in this fight, and you know, there's been that much thrown and that much landed, but what there is has benefited Barroso.
There's a lead right uppercut to the body by Romero. And Barroso continues to go to the body with the left hand, but hot shots, single shots. 2 minutes now, left in the sixth, and again Barroso goes to the body, sniping with the left hand, and Romero misses with the left.
You know, as dangerous as that move is for Barroso, it's been his most effective thing in the last couple of rounds. But it's dangerous because he can get countered with the right hand.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Also dangerous for Romero because he's staying right in front of Barroso.
Yeah, true.
Look at his foot placement right now. As a southpaw, you want to walk to the left.
Another counter left to the body by Barroso. It was with 25 seconds left in the third frame that Romero went down from an overhand left to the nose. The second time he's been down in his career. The first time, well, he was stopped by Gervonta Davis in his last fight. Another left hand to the body by Barroso, but it's single shots, devoid of combinations.
If you're Romero, you got to start taking that left away from Barroso. And how do you do that with your right hand?
Yeah.
Keep him busy with your right hand.
Try to control that lead hand with your left, and Romero and Barroso has definitely taken this partisan crowd here in Las Vegas, Romero's backyard, out of this fight.
Yeah, and the lack of volume from Romero.
Oh, another left hand by Barroso.
And that's all you have to do with your Barrosos. You're getting people's attention, the judges' attention with big shots like that.
Yeah, because of the lack of volume from Romero.
We are halfway through this battle, this bout, I should say, for it's been anything but a battle for a vacant 140-pound title.
Good job, good job. You're doing a great job. How are you feeling? We keep hitting him and then we surprise him with the left. Keep faking him out and then come in with the left. And we got the rhythm a little stronger, a little more. Just keep breathing deep.
Well, he's been looking for the left hand, and there it is. That was actually almost a better left than the first one that knocked Romero down. Romero took this one well, but Barroso, and he's looking at the body where Romero thinks he's going, and instead he comes with the left hand.
We've seen in the past both being susceptible to counter punches, but tonight Barroso's left hand has delivered, including that knockdown in the third round. This is now round number 7.
Azmiri Fernandez, the trainer of Barroso, I thought his comments were apt. Hit him a little bit like they are to the body and then surprise him with the left hand. Because the left to the body kind of helped set up that left to the head.
Let's bring in unofficial score, Steve Farrad. How do you have it at the midpoint?
Kind of a painful fight to score, Mo, but very little definitive action and very few definitive punches. But I would say the one thing we know is that the third round was 10-8 for Barroso, and as a result, I think he's probably ahead at the halfway mark. I have him ahead 58-55 after 6.
Take a couple aspirin, call me in the morning, Mr. Farrad, to get rid of that pain. 7th round here, and yeah, so he obviously looking at the fight, and as we begin the second half, I always come to you, Abner, for adjustments. Maybe give me one adjustment for each fighter going into the second half of the fight.
Well, starting from Romero, how do you not counter punch that slow left?
Exactly.
It's a 1-2 that Barroso is doing constantly. How do you not counter that? You know, that's one adjustment that Romero should start doing. And Barroso's fighting his pace, fighting at his rhythm, picking his shots, and I would want to say if he could pick up the rhythm a little bit more, but I don't think that would work for him. He would only put himself in danger.
What would you like to add, Al?
Yeah, for Barroso, what he could do is double jab his way in, which would take away that right hand, which he used to do back in the day when I saw him on video against Ulysses.
Okay, you say back in the day.
Was that on VHS tape?
Back in the day, 3 years ago, when we saw him on that video, he was able to do that, and then he worked the body and worked the head. He's not doing that. He's lunging it with his left hand in this fight.
Under a minute remaining in the 7th round, and again, we've talked about it, and bears repeating, at the age of 40, being through what he's been through with his knockout capabilities, this is the kind of pace that Barroso would like the entire fight.
Yeah.
And obviously the most common way to take the left away from a southpaw, walk to your left if you're a right-hander. Walk to your left constantly, take that left away, jab, and throw your own right hand. But Romero definitely not doing that right now.
And these rounds will be close ones because neither man is doing great offensive work. Sometimes the showier punches landing by Barroso in a couple of different instances.
And he seems to be winning the foot battle as well. The lead foot, keeping his right to the outside of Romero and setting him up for that left hand. There was that left hook again, the lead left by Romero as we head to round number 8.
Just what I need. Beautiful. Beautiful. He's gassing down, baby. Beautiful.
I like the better shots, though.
Yes. Beautiful, clean shots.
Stay boxing.
Breathe deep.
Okay, when you touch it, you can go to the left because you got get over there a little bit more.
Keep draining him down by your movement. Keep draining him down. He's getting tight. His legs is starting to get stiff.
Well, here's Romero. There's the straight right hand, and it comes with the hook. And that was the action he initiated. That wasn't counter punching by him, which is intriguing. We haven't seen much of that.
And he always gets himself off balance by doing that. And why doesn't he just stick to the right hand at that reach and follows it up with the hook instead?
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah.
You notice that Abner Mares makes a lot of good points?
He does. I've noticed that.
Round number 8. Absolutely.
That's why I'm happy he's sitting here with us tonight.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
And Romero retreating again, trying to reset. Barroso coming forward, but not able to really put together a lot of sustained action. Barroso's opened up a 4-point lead on our unofficial score, Steve Farhood's scorecard. So Romero, we asked if he could bring that vaunted power up to 140. He's gonna, if those scores are any indication, he's gonna have to try to rely on his power, and landed the right, but then got countered by Barroso.
And a reminder that quote-unquote vaunted power happened against fighters at a lesser skill set than even Barroso, who, let's face it, Romero got a little bit of a break, did get a break when Puello had to pull out of this fight and Barroso came in, but Barroso is a quality fighter.
Yes, and it was back in April of 2019, a few years back, that Romero produced one of the year's most spectacular knockouts against Andres Figueroa. But it's like you mentioned, Al, now moving up in weight, moving up in competition. Yeah, class. I mean, people, we saw the memes about, the age and the Ismael Barroso, but he is proving here tonight why he's been the #1 contender for almost a year.
And he's showing a certain, ability to take a couple of power punches. He didn't fold when he was hit by a good power punches, and, that's a key element here.
And he's the one that with the constant pressure.
Yeah, he remains on the hunt.
He might be stealing these rounds just because of that, and obviously those nice timed overhand lefts.
Minute left, and early in this round, Rolly Romero has been retreating.
And the lefts to the body will open up another left to the head at some point if Barroso doesn't get countered by a right, but Romero's not really throwing that punch.
And Romero continues to go around the ring.
And he's hearing it from some of the crowd here.
Now he fires a 1-2, but continues to utilize his feet while Barroso trying to cut him off, trying to stop him, trying to slow him down, but it's been, as Al Bernstein has put it so well so many times, the Romero Invitational track meet in this round.
I have used that line once or twice.
I love it. There's a left again to the body. The left hands of Barroso continue to score to the body, and another left lands. But Romero took a little bit of that off. We're going to the 9th.
Good work, baby. Good work. Good shit. Good shit. Yeah. Now you're demanding shit now. Now you run the show. I still need a little more feints and jabs, okay? When you're moving around. Coming around to what? This is 9. This is walking into 9 now, okay? Yeah, keep moving. Push it in.
Well, as we said early in the round, the lefts to the body would ultimately open one up to the head. Now, Romero tried to counter with the right hand, that left to the body, but didn't quite get it done. And then we're going to see, I believe we're going to see a left hand that got in, not great, but did get into the head of Romero.
Man, Mark Davis, the owner of the Las Vegas Raiders, spending almost as much time at boxing events these days as he is in charge of the Las Vegas Raiders. Always great to see Mark Davis in attendance.
Yeah, we've seen him, and of course he's getting ready for his WNBA Aces to start defending their title.
Unofficial scorecard shows Barroso still maintaining that 4-point, or make it now, it's 5-point edge over Romero.
Oh,
wow.
That was a nice right hand from Romero.
But just one.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Romero, I mean, he talked about it.
And he gets countered again, knocked off balance with the left of Barroso.
No.
And now it's Romero sitting down on his punches.
Ooh, is that going to be a knockdown?
And it is being ruled a knockdown despite it looking like a push.
Barroso was hurt at a certain point.
Yes, he was, and he goes down for the 5th time in his career. High drama now here in Las Vegas. Round number 9. Romero went down in the 3rd. Barroso goes down here in the 9th. And Romero sitting down on his shots, landing the left and the thudding right. Barroso trying to hang on.
Stop. Turn around.
And just like that, a fight is breaking out here in Sin City. Romero coming alive in the 9th.
It's going to be incumbent upon Barroso to land something significant.
Yeah, and if you're Romero, it's time to close the show. You don't want to let Barroso get any more of these rounds. You want to close the show and get this knockout and make a statement.
And yet Barroso remains a threat with that counter left. Snapped the jab, but finds himself on the ropes. And for a moment there, it was as literal as it was figurative. A minute left in the 9th. Romero putting on the pressure. Lands a straight right, misses with a sweeping right hook. And Barroso replying with chopping shots.
See, and this is the pace that Barroso doesn't like. High volume, constant on him, like, you know, he's the older fighter. He doesn't like this.
Seconds left in the 9th. That lead right has been effective for Romero. Barroso comes back with the right, and they are just... What the...
Oh my.
That was bad.
Oh my goodness.
Tony Weeks, and I gotta say it, a weak stoppage here tonight.
Wow.
Just sucking the partisan crowd, they're jubilant, they're ecstatic. Mamma mia. Rolly Romero, thanks to Tony Weeks intervening, and he stops the fight here in round 9. They had both been down one time each in the fight. Barroso still on his feet, still engaged.
Well, they were exchanging punches. Now, Barroso, to the point, not necessarily complaining. Well, some of his cornermen are. That's.
Oh yeah, his trainer Fernandez was on the apron going, "What the?"
Yeah, I mean, it's shocking, honestly. They were both exchanging. Barroso landed a couple of right hooks.
You'll be able to dissect the replay, I'm sure, a few times.
Oh yeah.
As Rolly Romero picks up his 13th knockout win, improving to 15-1. His first fight at 140. He's now a belt holder. And you're right, based on, I mean, the reaction of Barroso there, smiling as they exchange pleasantries.
Oh, we're going to revisit the end of that round and what ended up being the end of the fight. This is where Barroso coming in and landing the left hand against Romero. Then we're going to see where the knockdown happened. And this is where Romero gets him with a nice right hand, and the hook was the main punch. Now, he was pushed down there, so you can make a strong case it wasn't a knockdown. Barroso was hurt, but was that a knockdown? And we'll take another look at it, Abner, and I'll let you weigh in on this.
No, it definitely, I mean, a hook that hurt Barroso's. He's hurt there, followed up with the right, but then he's pushed down. Clearly a push down. Again, not saying that he was not hurt, but that is not a clear knockdown.
Then we're going to take a look at when this fight was stopped. Barroso had been in trouble. Now he's kind of a cuffing left hand. Good pushing right hand by Romero.
Nothing's landed.
Not really a lot significant. Now, Barroso does look a little tired, but honestly, nothing landed.
Nothing landed.
I don't understand that stoppage. And some of the crowd reacting here, I think they're seeing some of the video. We'll take yet another look at it. And Barroso there, you see him reacting as if what?
Come on.
There were no real punches that landed here, to be perfectly candid. That one did, but a pushing right hand. And Barroso does look tired here, but not hurt.
Yeah, I was gonna, and the reaction for Barroso's after this, you know, he was okay with the stoppage, whatever, because yes, he was put in the uncomfortable position, and he knew it was gonna start getting ugly like that, but definitely not the stoppage, you know, the right stoppage right now.
The react going, really?
Wow.
You know, but so.
Oh well.
Interesting, on every level.
And the beat goes on. Let's go to Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the time of 2 minutes 41 seconds in round number 9. As a referee stops the contest, he is the winner by way of knockout and the new WBA super lightweight champion of the world, Rolando "Rolly" Romero.
I'm not on social media anymore, but my phone just blew up with myriad messages. I cannot repeat what everyone is saying, but needless to say, no one seems to agree with this stoppage, except for maybe Rolando Romero's family.
His family very happy about this, and clearly this young man had come back to an extent in that fight, but...
All right, let's go to Jim Gray.
All right, Morrow, thank you very much. Rolly, did you think this fight should have been stopped?
Man, I'll be honest, man, he's a warrior. He wanted to keep going. He should have been able to keep going.
You wanted it to keep going?
I wanted to keep going. He's a warrior. He wanted it to keep going. We both wanted to keep going.
How would you assess your performance up until the stoppage?
I mean, I boxed the entire time. You know, I came in a little cold. I got cracked, you know, and I finished the round like a champion, and I kept going, and I got the victory.
When you went down, what did you learn from the last time that you went down against Tank Davis? You said you made a mistake against Tank. Went down here tonight. What did you learn when you got up to continue the fight?
Well, I took my time, moved around, and like, man, the man's strong, man. So I had to be careful with him.
So many rounds, there was not many punches that you threw. Why?
I mean, sure, you think I want to get caught by one of those? I told you he can crack. I told everybody he could crack. I knew he could crack.
All right, let's take a look here at the knockdown. And I want to ask you, Rolly, from your vantage point on the first knockdown, if it was a push on your end. This is round 3. So this is when you go down. I'm sorry. This is when you go down. Tell us from your vantage point what happened there.
I mean, it was a little buzz. I was a little off balance, and I got cracked, but I got back up, and I finished the round no problem.
Okay. Now I think we'll jump forward here ahead to when you knock him down. And it looks like a push from ours. And I'm now being told by our producer, Ray Smaltz, we're going to go to the stoppage here. Doesn't look like many of these are connecting.
Yeah, but the first punch was what had him hurt to begin with. The first punch had him hurt. It was right on the, it was a little clip.
It's a tough position for you to assess what the referee's doing, so I really can't put you in that position. But
said he wanted to keep going. I wanted to keep going as well.
So what happens here next? You lost to Tank. You now move up to 140. You gain a championship.
Well, like I said, there's only 2 fights I want. There's either, you know, obviously the rematch with Tank, but I think there's a much bigger option. I want to go after Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia 140 pay-per-view. Let's do this shit on Showtime. Let's get that shit happening.
All right, Rolly. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
No, and I want to give thanks to all the mothers for Happy Mother's Day, including my mom and my sister, most importantly.
Thank you, Rolly. Felix De Jesus will translate for us. Ismael, are you okay?
¿Tú estás bien, Ismael?
Sí, gracias a Dios, estoy bien.
Yeah, thanks to God, I'm fine.
Did you think this fight should have been stopped?
¿Piensa que deberían parar esta pelea?
No, yo pienso que yo estaba dando los mejores golpes. Yo creo que fue una pelea parada injustamente.
I think it was an injustice to stop this fight. I was giving the best shots.
The first time that you went down, were you pushed, or should that have been ruled a knockdown?
¿Fue un knockout o que te empujaron?
No, yo creo que fue que me empujó y se me vino encima, pero no hubo golpe fuerte contundente para yo caerme.
No, I think it was a push more than anything. It wasn't a big blow or anything.
What did the referee say to you at the end of the fight?
¿Qué te dijo el referee después, al final de la pelea?
No, detuvo la pelea nada más injustamente y no dijo nada. Paró la pelea.
He just stopped the fight and didn't tell me anything.
Let's take a look at the end of the fight and ask Ismael if any of these punches were connecting.
¿Estaba conectando con esto ahí, Rolly?
No, ahí vean claramente cómo estaba conectando era yo. Ahí no hubo golpe.
You can see it clearly. I'm the one that's hitting. There was nothing clear that he hit me with. And here we hit him again with another one.
Paró la pelea injustamente, pero bueno.
Right there, he stopped the fight. We don't understand.
I would concur with that. Thank you very much for your time.
Well, we look at the final numbers of this fight, and it was a low-volume affair to be sure. Of the power punches landed, there were several that were important. One was the left hook that hurt Ismael Barroso, even though the knockdown looked like a push. And, of course, there was the knockdown of Romero as well as part of that. A key point, and I just want to make this so it doesn't pass by. In our first fight, we saw 2 super quality 140-pounders representative of this weight division. I want to make that point.
Let's go to the scores at the time of the stoppage with our unofficial scorer, Steve Farhood.
Well, Mo, it shouldn't surprise anybody that Barroso was ahead on all 3 cards, but he was ahead by 1 point, 3 points, and 5 points. Actually, David Sutherland gave Barroso the first 5 rounds in this fight, and the judges, incidentally, agreed on only 4 of the 8 rounds. They gave Romero a couple of rounds late, but Barroso was well ahead. Take a look at my card. I had the 10-8 rounds for Barroso in the third because of the knockdown, and I had a one-sided fight as well, Barroso over Romero. I'll just say this, Diego Corrales, God rest his soul, was lucky Tony Weeks didn't ref his fight with Jose Luis Castillo that way.